it's May 20th, 2018, and we just got a ton of rain over the past few days. We've been totally deluged. We got over 5.5 inches of rain yesterday, and I want to say 3 out of the 4 days before that we got some rainfall, and everything is just soaking, sopping, soggy wet. And since we're in mid-May, the humidity is starting to pick up, the precipitation is increasing. I'm starting to get to the point where disease is going to be an issue in my garden. Now, when I talk about diseases, I want to talk specific plants. Anything in the nightshade family, like tomatoes, peppers, potatoes, and eggplant, or its derivatives like tomatillos, ground cherries, and then in the cucurbit family, which would be your melons like watermelon, cantaloupe, honeydew, pumpkin, squashes, cucumbers. All of those things are heavily susceptible to viruses and bacterial infections, and they often share a lot of the same diseases. But even if you have things like fruit trees, palms, it does not matter what you have, there is something out there that will kill it if you are growing it. It could even be flowers like roses. So what you want to do is you want to prepare ahead of time to try and create your environment so it is as less susceptible to diseases as possible, because it's way easier to prevent or slow the spread of diseases than it is to cure them. Once you get something, you're probably not going to cure it. All you can do is hope to prolong the life of your plants. So, and you've heard the phrase, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. It is really true here. So I want to go through step by step what I do to try and make my plants as disease resistant as possible. So there's going to be a lot of information here, so I want to take things on step by step. The very first thing you need to understand when it comes to diseases is that there are two primary ways that diseases spread. The first way that disease often spreads is water splashes from the ground, and then that ground is full of bacteria and funguses, and they splash onto the bottom leaves of your plants, and they infect the plant, and they work their way up the plant, spreading disease. That is the main way that diseases spread. And fungal infections spread the best like this. There are all kinds of natural fungi that grow in the soil, and if you splash your plants while watering, or it rains and it gets all over the leaves, that is the primary way that disease spreads. Another way that disease spreads is through insects. Insects jump from leaf to leaf, eating all kinds of different plants all over the place. So they are simply spreading disease from one plant to another. So they can jump on your cucumbers, and they can eat your cucumber leaves, which has a virus on it, and then they can jump on your tomato leaves and spread that virus to the tomatoes, because they share a lot of similar diseases. And bacterial infections often spread that way from insects. Or you can do the best job in the world disease-proofing your garden, but your neighbor may not be so lucky, or a guy 2 miles down the street might not be so lucky, and then the bug flies from that guy's yard over to yours, and then you get a disease from some guy 2 miles away. So that's how these things commonly spread. So the best way to prevent the spread of diseases is number one, pruning, which I've showed you how to do in the past. Removing the leaves from the bottom of the plant will make it difficult for water to splash up onto the underside of leaves, because there simply won't be any leaves there. So generally you want to prune your plant leaves up as much as you possibly can. The second thing you want to do is best watering practices. Drip irrigation, or watering gently from the bottom of the plant. Don't pour water from the top all over the top of your plant. You want to keep your leaves dry, because wet leaves harbor disease, and you don't want to splash from the bottom of the ground up. But you know what? It rains, and there's nothing you can do about that. There is natural humidity in the air. There's nothing you can do about that. So all you can do is do the best you can. So what I've done is I've created a spray over the years that is effective at both keeping bugs off your plant and by creating an undesirable atmosphere to contract disease. So generally, if you can keep your leaves dry and you can keep them coated with spray that prevents funguses from growing and it prevents bugs from eating your leaves, that's really the best you can do to create a disease-free environment. You know, with things like tomatoes, it's only a matter of time until something gets it, but the goal is to drag the season out as much as possible. So, long story short, what I have here is a 1.5 gallon sprayer. These things are about 15 bucks. You can get them at any big box store or online. They're very inexpensive. And I have 4 key ingredients that I put inside my spray. The very first thing, good old-fashioned baking soda. Now, the reason why I put baking soda in my spray is because funguses grow in an acidic or neutral pH environment. So baking soda is basic. It has a pH over 7. So the reason why I add this to my spray is it creates an environment with a high pH that sits on the leaves of your plants, which doesn't hurt the leaves of your plants, but because it has that basic environment, funguses cannot grow effectively. So it acts as a preventative retardant that funguses have trouble taking hold on your leaves. So the very first thing I do, you know what, I'll save the formula until last. Try to make it easy to remember. The second thing, pure neem oil. Neem oil contains a compound naturally called azadirachtin. You'll see it written here, Azadirachia indica. Well, however you say it, the compound that you're interested in is azadirachtin. What happens is bugs eat your leaves coated in neem oil and their stomachs rupture and explode. That's what it does. It kills bugs. Now, you will see all over stores like Home Depot, Lowe's, and Walmart, you'll see lots and lots of sprays that say neem extract on it. Neem extract is crap. It contains no azadirachtin. You have to buy 100% cold-pressed neem oil, which is from the neem seed. This is a soap-making product. That is what you have to buy. It is the only neem that contains azadirachtin. When you go to Home Depot and you buy something that says neem extract, you are buying an extract of neem that contains no azadirachtin, which is just a stinky smelling vegetable oil, and it's as effective as going to the store and buying a $3 jug of Mazola corn oil and spraying your leaves in a protective vegetable oil coating. That might deliver some element of protection, but in the reality, you're paying, $30 a gallon for a scam product. You're buying $30 a gallon vegetable oil. This is what you want. It has to say 100% cold pressed neem. If you can't find it in a store, they sell this on Amazon.com for around $15 for a 16 fluid ounce container. This is good stuff. This is the real deal. This is what you want. Then you have liquid copper fungicide. Liquid copper fungicide is it's a touchy subject. It is organic. So is arsenic. So is uranium. All kinds of poisonous things. There's lots of poisonous organic compounds. So liquid copper fungicide, if used in certain concentrations, can be approved for organic gardening. However, it is a heavy metal that you are spraying on your plants. So you want to use liquid copper fungicide as sparingly as possible. A big issue with it is since you're basically spraying liquefied metal dust all over your plants, it can build up in your soil over years and eventually it can contaminate your soil. So you want to use this as sparingly as possible. They give you a whole list of instructions on the back here as to how much to use. Tomatoes and peppers, it's something like 3 to 6 teaspoons per gallon as a preventative measure. I don't use anywhere near that much because I I'm going for super diluted. I don't want to toxify my soil. So what I do is I alternate between a little bit of copper fungicide and then this product called Serenade. I may spray midweek if it's dry. This is just it's a bacteria similar to yogurt-based bacteria, and this you can use as much as you want. It's not super effective once you already get a disease, but it's good for prevention. It's like spraying probiotics all over your leaves, and it sets up an environment that is unfriendly for funguses and bacteria to take hold. It is not as strong as copper fungicide though. So and the final thing is good old-fashioned dish soap. The reason why you need dish soap is simple. Baking soda mixes with water, liquid copper fungicide mixes with water, neem oil does not. Neem oil separates. Just like oil and vinegar, neem oil and water separate. So adding a little bit of soap to it and then shaking it up, the soap, the non-polar and the polar heads that is in soap, it binds the water and the oil together. So again, this is a 1.5 gallon container sprayer. This is the formula that I've been using with success. I take 2 level teaspoons of baking soda, just 99-cent baking soda from the baking aisle at your grocery store. That's 2 level teaspoons. Then I use, we're going to do the neem first. I use 2 teaspoons of pure neem oil. Cold pressed neem, not neem extract. 1. 2. This stuff is a mess, so always have a wet paper towel with you, ready to wipe. Then the final thing, I use 1 teaspoon of liquid copper fungicide. Again, they recommend 3 to 6 teaspoons. I use 1 because this can be toxic in high doses. It is not good for you. It can be organic. Just because it's organic doesn't mean it's good or safe. Now the final thing that ties this all together, a little bit of soap, just a few drops, and that is it. Now I will fill this up with some warm water and I will shake it up really well. I'm going to fill this with about 1 1/4 gallons of water, so it'll have room to fit this in and leave a little bit of air on top. This is the pumper. You want to leave a little bit of air on top so you can shake it up really well and mix everything together so the soap amalgamates everything together. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to show you how I spray my plants. Okay, it's 7 p.m. It's about an hour prior to sunset, and this is when I recommend spraying. You want to wait until the sun is low in the sky before the evening to spray. The reason why is because if you coat your plants in soap and oil and chemicals and then the heat of the sun hits them, that could scald your plants. It can create some kind of adverse reaction. So I strongly recommend waiting until the end of the day. I also don't recommend spraying early in the morning for that reason, because the intense morning sunlight could scald your plants a little bit. So this is the safest time to do it. You don't want to wait until the sun sets though, because you want the spray to dry on your leaves for an hour and a half before the sun completely sets. So right now we're in that 60 to 90 minute window before sunset. This is the perfect time to spray. So I took my sprayer and I filled it up with about 1.25 gallons of water, which I will shake up. Make sure the sprayer is on nice and tight. Pump it a few times. And then we want to clear the line here to get out all of whatever the old stuff that might be in the sprayer is. And then all you want to do is spray the tops of your leaves. Your fruit, and then try and get the undersides of the leaves. And then when I do the fronts of all my trellis plants, I'll come around and do the backs, which will be the undersides of the leaves, predominantly. So I'll do all that at the end to save time. And then you just go down in a row. And that's really all there is to it. Now you can use this spray on tomatoes, peppers, cucumbers, squashes, watermelon, you know, pretty much anything. The only bit of advice I can give you is don't take my word for it. Test this spray on your own before you try to use it. So follow my instructions, make the spray, and then choose one of your plants at the end of the day. Spray it as a test, wait overnight, and make sure that no harm comes to the plant, because I don't want you to just take my word for anything. Don't just take my word for it, and also you might make a mistake. So just in case you do make a mistake, or don't spray everything with a spray that you're not sure of. Make sure that you're comfortable, because if something bad were to happen, you could technically kill off everything if it went wrong. So I'm not trying to scare you, I'm just trying to say do your due diligence, do a test spray first, and make sure that you're comfortable with using this formula before you go ahead and use it on everything. Thanks a lot for watching the video. If you find this helpful, please feel free to like, comment, share, subscribe to my channel. It would be greatly appreciated. Thanks everybody.